Thanks for tuning in to Curious Cat, where we examine this shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. So in the woo community, we hear about healing our past traumas or healing the inner child. And I'm no different in that respect. I've been doing the work to look back and face and then make peace with my past. It's been a journey that I've been on since my father's passing, probably even before that. And it went well into my other father passing this last summer. It's been a journey of forgiving both myself and others. It's been dredging up that underbelly of stuff that I have shoved away and making peace with it and figuring out what it's done to shape me. I truly thought at this point in my journey that meeting my inner child would be a delightful, relaxing experience, really fun. We'd hug in my mind's eye, reunited, imagine butterflies and cotton candy and all those sweet, precious things. I've even meditated to send love and comfort to who I'll go ahead and call little Jenn. Many times I've shared that meditation with you as well. And those painful memories from my childhood no longer hurt like they used to. So our reunion in the hypnosis session would be sweet, right? Well, the short answer is sort of. But it was important work. Hang with me and I'll share the journey, and you'll hear snippets of my actual session, the bulk of what was revealed to me, and how it's continued to heal and purge toxins inside of my spiritual and physical body ever since. Let's get into it. I'm not sure if I heard about the inner child session with Monique at Understandings Hypnosis on socials or Paranormal Karen or in real life because Monique's become my friend, but it piqued my interest. One day I felt brave enough and signed up for the session. And as I said in the episode intro, I thought with the work I've done, it would be fun. I'd get to reunite subconsciously with this younger version of me. But then as the date approached, I felt nervous excitement. 2 days before, my nerves just spiked. What if I wasn't able to be hypnotized? Well, here's some insider scoop. If you book a session with Monique, she offers a free 15-minute session you can try out in the privacy of your home as often as you like to help you become accustomed to and comfortable with the process of hypnosis. It's generous and loving of her. I tried that session a couple of times, but it was during the summer and my mind was cluttered, quick to jump back to waking life not because of Monique, I want to note. I love her voice, its rhythm and cadence, and the methods she uses to bring clients into the hypnotic state. But I struggled, and I have to attribute my easy distraction to life and the pressures of juggling lots of balls at the same time, more than normal and at a faster pace with my distraction. I hoped that the month in between that busy, frenetic time and the time that the session took place was enough of a break in time and space to allow me to shed real life and dive into that hypnotic session with her. So it was the night before. I did not sleep well, and I told Monique this. She said it would help me because being kind of sleepy would really help me to fall into the hypnotic state. Well, I trust Monique implicitly, and I believed her response. Hypnosis is a trust exercise at its heart, and I've come to trust Monique over the last months as we've become dear friends. That morning, I shut the door to my studio, put on my headphones, logged in, and after handling the tech issues that always seem to occur when Monique and I are in the same room, she began our session. Before I share more about that session, I want to pause and talk about the history of hypnosis. I found a great backgrounder online from the University of Derby. In it, author Yashiro Kotera writes, "The history of hypnosis dates back to the late 18th century when Franz Mesmer, a German physician, developed mesmerism, his beliefs about the balance of magnetic power in our own body using animal magnetism. The concept of animal magnetism was rejected a decade later as it had no scientific basis. However, many clinicians, the article goes on to say, were fascinated by the fact that Mesmer did cure many symptoms of patients. One of the most notable clinicians that followed Mesmer was a Scottish ophthalmologist, and his name was James Braid. He coined the word hypnosis. It originated from the Greek word for sleep. Modern science later proved hypnosis was not related to sleep, but one thing hypnosis and sleep have in common is the enhancement of our external focus. In the mid-19th century, Austrian physician Josef Breuer's works got attention for his treatment of Anna O. for hysteria. Breuer used suggestive hypnosis to trigger Anna's childhood emotions, which resulted in the reduction of her symptoms. And they continue. The most prominent figure in modern hypnosis is American psychiatrist Milton Erickson, who was a master of using language creatively in order to communicate with patients' unconscious. What was unique in his approach was that he was not interested in identifying the cause of the symptoms, like many other clinicians back then. Instead, his focus was on helping patients release their symptoms by stopping the defense functions. He made outstanding clinical successes, and his methods were called Ericksonian hypnosis, which was strongly embedded in other contemporary approaches, such as neuro-linguistic programming or NLP. So a common fallacy that I'd like to talk about right at the top about hypnosis is that the clinician can make a patient do whatever they want once they're in a hypnotic state, but that's impossible. I remember as like a young college student, it was my freshman year in college, my best friend Deb and I went to the state fair, and we were watching these volunteers from the audience take these empty seats on the stage and drop into hypnosis with the hypnotist for the show. Some would go on to do silly dances and act like a chicken and things like that but the hypnotist was quick to share at that time that no one will do anything under hypnosis that they wouldn't do while fully awake. And that lesson stuck with me. The words clinicians use can be very powerful, and the more relaxed the subject, the more power those words can have. I bring this up because it's something I'm seeing everywhere in life. Choose your words thoughtfully. Sure, that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. It may be the technical truth, but how about we try not to hurt one another in any way, shape, or form? I know I'm capable of doing better in this area, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. The author of the article at the top mentions the power of language in this passage, and it's worth a listen. Quote, "The language we use shapes our experience. For example, my studies have found that reframing is one of the most useful skills among licensed career consultants. They reported that how their clients label their personalities or situations significantly affects their career, their attitudes and successes. In NLP, what I am specialized in, the importance of language is emphasized, as you can see it in the title. The first step is to notice what kind of language you are using when you're happy, relaxed, stressed, etc. You may want to write those down so that you can see those from an outsider's perspective. Then you can think about what you may want to change to enhance or reduce the effects. Okay, I know this isn't about my inner child, but I just had an aha moment when I was reading that passage to you, because it's been a recent thing that I have changed my language about food. I will say I ate well, or I ate good foods, or I was bad, I ate bad foods. And instead, I'm starting to truly, without even thinking about it now, change the language I have about what I ingest. And it's not a good versus evil kind of thing. And because those are an indictment about my weight or my body image, and those no longer serve me. So I've kind of changed that language about food and framing that I used to have. So that sort of blew me away. That's just a simple aside. So probably TMI to know about my body image struggles and how I'm coming to fruition with those. But there it is. I'm not going to cut it out because maybe somebody out there needs to hear that too. So with the basics out of the way, I'd like to return to my individual session with Monique to meet and heal my inner child. But first, so it's not interrupted, bear with me while I share a few promos for podcasts that I love.
Ever wanted to astral project?
Speak to a loved one who's passed?
Heal people with just the touch of your hand?
Well, you won't learn how to do that on this podcast, but you will hear from those that can.
The Skeptic Metaphysicians podcast is not your typical dry and boring metaphysics show. It's a fun exploration of metaphysics, spiritual awakening tools, modalities, and personalities that's as entertaining as it is informational.
Join hundreds of like-minded souls who are growing and expanding their consciousness at skepticmetaphysician.com.
Discover the Skeptic Metaphysicians,
your new metaphysical obsession.
Hey everybody, Karen Rontowski here. I hate to interrupt the Curious Cat podcast, one of my favorites, but if you want to double your paranormal fun when you're done here, come check out my show, Paranormal Karen. I interview exorcists, demonologists, healers, psychics, really anyone that can make a family gathering uncomfortable is on my show. If you want to see everything I do, go to KarenRontowski.com. And I know you're thinking, that sounds hard to spell. Well, it is. I have misspelled it on hundreds of tax forms. So if that doesn't work for you, go to psychicstandup.com or paranormalkaren.com. There you can find my Patreon. You can book a tarot reading. You can take a tarot class. You can find everything, including my stand-up comedy clips. That's right. I've been doing stand-up for 30 years. If you go to those places, you can also see my psychic stand-up show where I mix psychic and tarot readings. Yes, the future never looked so funny. So check me out at KarenRontowski.com, ParanormalKaren.com, or PsychicStandup.com. And can someone please find me a marketing person to put all this in one place? Now back to the show.
All right, we're back. So this session, Monique sent me the full audio of our session, which I hesitated to listen to until right before I prepped this show. I've omitted the actual hypnotizing, and I've also tried to keep her methods close to my chest because she developed them herself. She didn't ask me to do this, mind you, but I feel protective of what she worked hard to create. First, she had me lie in a dim room. I could lie or sit up in a comfortable place. I chose a bed, but you could do like an easy chair, just a comfy place. It had to be a place where I wouldn't be disturbed. And I closed my eyes. After some breath work, she took me down, down, down. And then next, before I reunited with little Jenn, I created with Monique's instruction a happy and peaceful place. So if at any time during this session I encountered anything that landed in the too much category, I could return here to rest and restore. And spoiler alert, my place is a very real hammock. It's a beach cove on the big island of Hawaii, and she had me diving into all of the senses in order to create a very rich and a very comforting, peaceful place. So I can give you snippets of that, and I'll leave a blank here to add a little bit of that. It's on the big island, and it's a little alcove, and the ocean's there, and sand, and there's a hammock, and the palm trees, and the leaves are rustling in the breeze off the ocean. Next, she had me introduce myself to my younger self, to little Jenn, and it was. Well, I'll give you a couple snippets here of that. The first thing that was kind of surprising is that little Jenn was shy, because I think in real life, people always assume, even now as an adult, that I'm an extrovert. But even as a little stinker, I was shy. My initial reaction to people was to sit and watch them and see what kind of person was coming at me. So the second thing about my introduction to little Jenn is she was anxious when it came to all adults, because the adults in her life had been basically inconsistent. Maybe they'd been nice or happy or seemed kind out in the open, but then in secret, they would yell and they would fight, and there was tension. She's relieved to be seen. She smells like caramel.
She smells like caramel, but she's relieved to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Let her know you see her.
She's glad to be held.
Good.
She's glad it's an adult that's not going to go away or surprise her.
Good. Let her know you're here now, and you're always going to be together.
The second thing about her is she felt her anxiety, which Monique asked her about. She asked me, as the adult Jenn, what does anxiety feel like? And I shared in that session that anxiety for me felt, it feels hot. It feels overly like I'm stuffed into a tiny space, so kind of claustrophobic. It feels, just like nerve-wracking in that way. And so then when we were meeting little Jenn, Monique asked me to ask her what her anxiety was. And she said that it was about a 6 or 7 as a little girl, and that it had been up to a 10 at times, and that everything was all her fault. That was an overlying theme to all of that early little Jenn stuff. Everything was her fault. There was this guilt. There was this shame. There was this heartbreak, like she had such other intentions for her life, but she's been a disappointment. And I have to also say that this whole first part of my session with Monique, I didn't even realize it. And I thought that I wasn't really hypnotized, but I totally was, because I didn't even realize I was crying the entire time. My face, tears were just washing down my face. And when I came out of the session and actually went to go blow my nose, and, after we'd wrapped up with Monique, I'd wrapped up with her, I had mascara all down my cheeks and my face down to my chin. So that's how emotional it was to meet this little Jenn. Okay, so I was going back to, let me go back and tell you. So little Jenn was anxious, and she shared that anxiety for her felt hot, and it felt like everything was her fault. There were sharp voices, there was fighting, and again, it was just somehow all of those voices were her fault. Then me now and little Jenn, that was the next part of our interaction. She was little Jenn, and I'm going to add a snippet here, so I'm going to leave a break. She was trying to take me outside, because I guess we were inside the house, but we didn't have any specific place we were together, but it was this weird nebulous thing. And she kept trying to take me outside, and she liked outside best. So here's the snippet from that.
She doesn't really want to. There's stuff inside she wants to show me, but she kind of wants to stay outside. Okay, you guys can stay outside. While you're outside with your feet on the grass, I want you to ask little Jenn what she needs most right now.
All right. I asked little Jenn to take me to her favorite places, and they were all outside. She said the grown-ups don't yell where we can see the sky, something like that. So then Monique said that I could have her lead me to wherever she wanted to go. And immediately she went down the bluff of a very real place. It was a house that we lived in Palos Verdes. And there was this bluff that was coated in ice plant. And we went down to the Pacific Ocean. And it was a place that as a little girl, I was forbidden from going, but my big brother could go there with his friends. Immediately, she dove into the water and she started swimming like a mermaid. She was a really good swimmer. It was like second nature for her to swim. And it took everything I had to catch up with little Jenn. So we were down at the Pacific Ocean. She's swimming, and it was funny because she came ashore and she had imagined that every time her older brother and his friends had gone down to the ocean where she wasn't allowed to go, she had pictured him amassing pirate treasure in a grotto while she was stuck there in the house. And so she brought me to that little cave, that grotto, and it was just filled with like a big pirate trunk and all this gold. Next, she brought me to the house, and we were actually inside the house. So I feel like that was important because we had established trust, enough trust that she was willing to let me come into her home. And what it actually reminds me of is if you've ever had a friend that you had at school, right? And you've made a friend and you invite them over to your house, and then they're going to see how you live, like your house, your place, maybe your quirky parents, maybe your, all of the different things. But you decide that in order to be deeper friends, that you want to share this with them, and you hope that they'll accept you for that, for everything. And that is exactly what that moment when she brought me into the house felt like. She was playing Barbies, which I only remember doing once with when I was little, before we lived in Pasco, Washington. I don't remember Barbies being a part of my play life, but there was a neighbor, and this is waking me saying this. There was a neighbor that had Barbies, and they had this Barbie house that was very elaborate. And she told me about that. She told me the whole story about it was so beautiful and it should be in some World's Fair. It was so perfect. And he was an architect and he built it for maybe his granddaughters at one time. And she was confused because they let her into their house to play with that Barbie house, that very special Barbie house. And she wondered, first of all, why she was allowed to go there, and two, where, in real life, I have questions about that. Where were my parents? Were they arguing? Were those neighbors babysitting me? And I didn't understand that at the time. So I have questions about that I want to come back to and ask my actual mom about.
Just know why she's over there, though. She's like, where are my parents? Why am I over here?
Okay, and then next she said Monique said that we were going to do the work. And she said to explain to little Jenn that we were going to do the work. And before we did that, I was laughing because little Jenn was actually really funny. She was cracking me up. She was like doing one-liners all over the place.
Well, she's so funny. She showed me this cave that has this gold in it. And she pictured that her big brother, that's where he was allowed to go down the ocean, but not her. And she pictured him doing all this fun piratey stuff out of her. I love it.
So anyway, I thought that was funny. So then Monique said, it's time for us to do the work. I said goodbye to little Jenn and I held her to my heart. I had her in my arms and I held her to my heart so that our hearts were next to each other. And I remember she smelled like her hair was straw colored, which was true. And she smelled like caramel. And Monique gave us the words for that moment so that our trust would always be there and that I was glad we would always be together. And little Jenn was starting to understand it was not her fault. None of it. She was starting to feel better and she didn't know why. So we said goodbye, but that we would see each other soon. And we even found a way to touch. I would braid her hair and that could be our language of love. So next, Monique and I broke off and we started on the work. And the work is what ultimately is hopefully healing that inner child. In the work, we identified little Jenn's first moment of anxiety. And this was really confusing. I'll have a little break here so that I can give you a snippet from it because I was very confused at what I was seeing. Because Monique said, "What are you seeing around you at that first moment of anxiety?" So here's a break and I'll give you a little snippet.
I wasn't even born. Okay, that's okay. I'm not seeing because I couldn't see. I was like, you're in your mother's womb? Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's where a lot of times things happen. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is this the very first time, whether it be this life, that you experienced, or do we have to go even further back?
So it was confusing. All I was getting was those splotchy colors. And I, at first, like the me that was part of the session was thinking maybe that was my mind just putting up sort of walls, like paint splotches. But then I realized that those splotches were like peachy and gray. It was like if you're in the sunshine and you're looking through your eyelids, how you see that color of your flesh, right? Through with the sunshine. And that's when I realized I was in utero. Little Jenn had come to be love. That was the whole point of this lifetime, to be love, to give love. And then when she was in utero, she heard these sharp voices, this yelling, and she was confused. She thought then that her purpose was to love so big that somehow it fixed these people's problems on the other side, their marriage, whatever. She didn't know what these things were, but she knew that things were broken and she thought it was her job to fix them. That's when I worked together with Monique and we created a filter around little Jenn that she would only receive the positive. And she jumped in even though we were supposed to be separated. And she said she really liked that. She let us know she really liked that. We went further back with this anxiety. Where were the roots of it? We followed the breadcrumbs. And it led to that death experience of mine that I've shared on my podcast. So it was like, it kind of was a jump cut. And the guy, I'll give you a little bit of a snippet from it because it was really interesting. So here's a break for one of those snippets.
Everything just crushing down and then it just settling in and there was just no room to wiggle. And that breath, it was hot in there, trapped. And then gritty, like in my mouth. I knew I had to breathe. I didn't want to. And then in came this dirt. Then it was done.
Okay. All right. So Monique was coaching me and helping me with that death experience, because I kind of jumped immediately to the actual death and like it being everything being caved in on me and the sand being in my throat and then that last breath. And so she had me back up further so I could understand who I was in that life, which was kind of cool. And this was not his real name because the people that worked with him couldn't pronounce his name right. And so she had me look at my hands, which was so great because they were, big man hands and they had some calluses. And I knew I was very tall and I was holding a lamp up high while another guy that the people that couldn't pronounce his name called Toady, he was chipping away looking for veins of precious metal, like there was copper, and then later he said gold and silver. And as we were doing the work in tandem, we were the ones trying to find the new veins of metal. Well, the whole tunnel system that we were a part of caved in. So the people called, she asked what his name was, Monique did, and it was Gil. That's what the people that he worked with called him. So we got to experience the collapse. And later after the session, I'd recall that happened near Mount Shasta. And so no wonder the sight of that peak gave me anxiety, right? The other thing is I kept getting that Gil and Toady, they were Portuguese. So I need to look that up and see if that is historically accurate. And the other thing I loved is Gil was super tall and I'm really short. So it's kind of fun that I was a very tall man and I was holding the lamp so that Toady could see what he was doing. He was super quick to laugh. He was warm. He was friendly. And then Monique asked him what happened after his death. And he said it was one big party. Everyone was there. And then Monique asked him to take us back to that. And he said that if we went there with him, we wouldn't want to return to this. That's when things got really interesting because he explained in the most common sense language about the bridge with uppercase letters. It's the bridge between lives. It was so clear. It woke me up, actually. So here's what he explained to us. He said, I'm wondering if I should put in the clip here too. But okay, so here's my explanation. And then this might be weird because you're going to hear the clip of me probably explaining it as Gil as well. But he was saying that basically the soul does not want to go from that party, happy, just pool of love thing back to the earth life. If you do, you would just regret it immediately. And maybe some souls do, and that's why they pass away very quickly. Maybe in utero, maybe at birth, maybe soon after. I don't know. That's just a guess. But he said what we do is make a bridge. And the bridge is a bridge between our death moment in the last life and then our first moments in this life. And he was super clear about it. And so my last moments as Gil were that what my definition of anxiety is, right? They were hot. This whole cave had collapsed onto me. I couldn't move. So claustrophobic, hot, uncomfortable, suffocating, couldn't breathe. Was it my fault? I'm holding this lamp and I've got this friend there that we're working in tandem, but there's kind of even that was as a bridge. And then you see little Jenn who's hearing these loud voices, which maybe actually we heard down the tunnel as we were suffocating where they were trying to get to us. But it's like, was this my fault? What just happened? There's kind of confusion. There's being confined in a space like in utero, being dependent on very little oxygen and nutrients like you are in utero. So it's very similar to a tunnel system, isn't it? So he called that the bridge because we can't go from the party to our next life or we wouldn't do it. So the bridge is between our last moments at death and our first moments in life. And he said the sooner we figure out that baggage, the things we brought over the bridge that aren't actually supposed to serve us in this life, the sooner the better. And that moment was so clear. It woke me up. I was completely awake and aware in the hypnosis, and I felt so light and so joyful, and I was just smiling ear to ear because it all made sense. The other thing that I think is important to convey is that Gil shared his death experience, and it wasn't personal. There wasn't guilt associated with it. There was no shoulda, woulda, couldas. It just was. So if you play video games, like I love the Lego games, it was like when your Lego character is blasted apart and then they're put back together, and it's like in the same few seconds. There's no feeling behind it. There's no emotion. There's no baggage with it. Death is no big deal. I thought that was so freeing and so cool. So then after that, Monique brought me under again, just briefly, to return to little Jenn as we'd promised, and tell her about the filters that we've put in place so that she can receive only the positive. And she said she's feeling better. She's realizing it was never her fault, that she just came to love these people and she got confused, but none of that was her fault. I also explained on Monique explained on every level, in every dimension, what we'd done, what we learned, and all that good stuff, so that no longer would be holding me back. The biggest thing that I learned about this whole process is we are regenerative. We are that Lego character on the game. We come back. Where we dwell is where we heal as well. Those are my two big things. Other general impressions is my relationship with guilt is changing. I'm realizing that my defense mechanism is to think that I am the reason for everything coming my way. And that's actually kind of changing. I'm realizing more and more, what can I learn in a situation that's difficult? And what can I do to be more approachable so that the person I'm with in that moment feels safe, sharing their experience, and they can grow from it and grow and let go from it. My relationship with my body is changing. So I'm seeing it more as a beautiful house that I'm borrowing for a short time, that I have to nurture and give gratitude to my body. And this is involved, to stretch the metaphor perhaps to its breaking point, but it's needed deep cleaning, reorganizing, really gutting the past dirt and mold off the floor with like a pressure washer. It's been a gentle, necessary renovation that I've been going through. And it's been a process, that's for sure. It was pretty ugly for a few days, and Monique warned me that the healing would continue. She also made herself very available to me. Monique is an intuitive healer and a Reiki practitioner, as well as a hypnotherapist. So what that means for you, if you choose to do something like this, to book a session, is she's all about healing all of you all the time. So before my session with her began, she intuited what stones she should have on hand that would be helpful. And I'll name those toward the close of this episode, but I just wanted you to know that even after your session, she warned me that my body and my mind and my spirit would all be getting in sync, and it would be kind of a process, and I could reach out to her anytime. I'm still connecting dots between that past life and this one. Gil was a breadwinner and he had creative pursuits, but he was too tired at the end of those days of physical labor to make much of those talents. I'm getting that chance now. I get to use my voice for a living. I get to use my creative juices to write books and create content for a living. Gil was the life of the party, and I'd do everything not to be now. I am the turtle under the shell kind of person now. So maybe I should get out of my comfort zone and embrace my inner Gil a little more. He had a huge family. As I said before, I feel like he was Portuguese. That really resonates, but it was a huge family support system that he had. Me now is hyper aware of justice and truth, and I wonder if he was that way as well. The other thing I wanted to add before I go into Monique's stones that she used to kind of be the support that I needed and she needed and little Jenn needed for this healing process is it connects with, I just listened to an old broadcast. It was a year and a few months old of Timothy. He's an evolutionary astrologer from Rosalila Healing, and it's on YouTube, and I'll put the links in the show notes. And it was he did this, recorded this right after Roe v. Wade was overturned. And you can hear the emotion in his throat and in his chest. But he really brought it back to Lilith and the Black Moon, and Lilith as the, he said Lilith in a couple different forms, but as the archetype Lilith. And what Lilith is she represents, and I should do a whole episode on Lilith because it was so interesting. She is that essence of primordial feminine. And we're not talking gender here. We're just talking the empathy, the emotions, the intuition, the knowing, all of those things, right? And those, when the patriarchy came into place, were cast aside. They were either poo-pooed or they were dismissed or they were shamed or they were cursed, whatever. And this whole conversation, he mentioned in it, when we're looking at our own inner child, and that's how it relates to this. And it was kind of shocking. I had to listen to this morning. Timothy says, when we're doing our own inner child work and looking back at that wounded child, he says, where did we damn ourselves? Where were we vilified, crucified, burned at the stake? That's where we were becoming initiated into our power, the power of Lilith. We can remember that part of ourselves and polish that gem. I thought that was pretty amazing what he had to share. So Monique, as I mentioned, was so loving that even before our session, she pulled stones and used her intuition to do so. So here they are. She used amber, and I'm going to be sharing Monique's descriptions of each here. Amber is a protective resin that came from trees millions of years ago. Many carry it for its healing and protective properties. Amber is a natural purifier, esteemed for its ability to draw pain and, dis-ease from the physical body, as well as the mind and spirit by absorbing negative or stagnant energies and transforming them into clear, positive energy. This stimulates the body's own mechanisms to heal itself. Amber may be placed directly on a wound or over the internal organs to promote healing, or at the thymus gland to restore balance to the entire system. Amber is excellent for alleviating stress, depression, or anxiety and increasing overall vitality and energy levels. It can stimulate sluggish digestion and is considered beneficial in treatments for the kidneys, bladder, spleen, liver, and gallbladder. Amber is particularly effective in treating goiter and disorders of the throat and may be used to relieve joint pain, rheumatism, toothache, and teething in infants, as well as bronchial issues, especially whooping cough. She also was intuited to have a sunstone. It's an uplifting stone that can help clear negative energy, raise vibrations, and increase positivity. It's a good stone to bring happiness and joy. She also intuited prehnite. This is a stone known for healing, dreaming, and remembering, and advancing the state of meditation. It may be used to multiply energy and enhance one's protective fields, precognition, and inner knowings. Connected with the earth, it's also known for teaching harmony in nature. Turquoise, which interestingly is my birthstone. So turquoise is known as a master energy healing and protection stone while it carries positive energy. It may enhance psychic receptors in the mind and body, helping one connect with other realms, and is associated with the connection between the heavens and the earth. She also intuited sodalite. This stone is connected to the throat and third eye chakra. It may provide calming energy, help with spiritual growth, and bring out the true self you may have hidden from the world. It's a great communication tool and is known to assist with enhancing one's intuition. She also brought a dragon stone. This is a stone that's a mixture of two stones, and together they help heal the heart and reconnect the body, mind, and soul, allowing one to speak and feel as one being. It's an excellent stone for those who are working on themselves and can become a powerful manifestation tool, and it's able to put out energy as it is received. She brought a moss agate. Moss agate is great for success in gardens and crops. My inner fairy must have loved this. It attracts abundance and is a great stone for grounding. It encourages self-expression and strengthens the divine connection to nature. Due to the stone's properties, it's a great stone for connecting to your inner child. She brought pink petalite. This stone symbolizes love, compassion, and emotional healing. Working with the heart and soul star chakras, it's known to offer protection to the heart and psychic boundaries while providing strength and peace. It is known to help people connect with their angels and guides. She brought shatukite, which I'd never heard of before. It's known as a stone of intuition, mediumship, and psychic abilities. Shatukite may bring clarity to the mind, but not clarity in pronunciation, obviously. Heart and throat, creating a strong connection so one may speak their highest truth. This stone is not only known to assist in the ability to receive higher messages, but to also enhance the amounts of understanding of the current messages, including symbols. So if you're wondering, I feel like I need to wrap with this. What's happened since my session? So since my session, as Monique promised, my body and my soul have been trying to sync up. They have been syncing up. Toxins have been oozing from my pores. I know, TMI. I had 2 straight days where I was not able to eat food, and an old ulcer I'd had that I hadn't thought of in years began to act up. It's all that old trauma purging from the cells of my body. I've introduced yoga to my days and added bratty foods into my diet. And if you're not a parent, those are bananas, rice, apples, toast, and yogurt. That's what I had to do to slowly heal my gut and my stomach. And I'm grateful to share that that's all healed up. I've also had to cut the little alcohol I used to consume down to 0. And also, I got rid of most of the caffeine in my diet. Both of those changes have improved my sleep quality. In fact, in the last few days, I've slept so deeply, I'm remembering my dreams again, which I'm so excited about. I'm sharing this all in love. And for those of you who happen to be curious, it's not a prescription for anyone but me. I'm also not saying any of this to judge anything you are doing. You know you best. I've had to feel awful, subsist on Pepto, then experiment with balancing spirituality and my human urges in order to recalibrate, and it's been worth the effort. Monique warned me that my healing would continue well after the inner child session. She is a loving person, much more than a hypnotherapist. In fact, she made herself available for any advice, guidance, or help. And as I listened back to our session for this episode, I loved my friend even more, which I thought couldn't be possible. I'm grateful for her compassion as she assists people through what is soul-bearing, vulnerable states of being in pursuit of healing. I love you, Monique. If you're curious about reuniting with your inner child, that family reunion for two, I encourage you to reach out to Monique. I've included all of her links in the show notes. You'll also find a simple meditation that I mentioned at the top. I created it some time ago to go back in time and give your younger self compassion, support, and love. I've also linked to Aaron Doty's vibration meditation, which has helped my soul to heal my physical body. I've only shared bits and pieces of my session, but I'm so glad to share more information with you. Just email me. Email any questions or comments at curious_cat_podcast@icloud.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Cat. Until next time, stay curious. I love you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.